Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I'm the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we have EBX Aaron in the house.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi, friends.
guys. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, it's so nice you guys were chatting even before we went live. That's such a great feeling to see y'all here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the support for Aaron and myself, and this should be a fun time for sure. Um, Just I'll call her Erin from here on out.
That's my government name,
Yeah,
EBX
yeah, I'm
Lauren.
sorry.
No, no, no. Who's
um,
that?
who's that? I don't even know who that is. So yeah, basically, if y'all have never been to the show, what I do is we find out likes and dislikes ahead of time of the streamer, and then kind of go back and look up some stuff while we talk about that. It's very interesting where you'll learn some things that you didn't think you were going to learn about certain bands or artists or um, even numerology, things that you didn't even realize before. And thank you for the follow, Duncan. So you're going to hear that noise, but you're not going to see it on the screen. We are posting this to YouTube. You will be able to see some chats. If you add emotes to your chat, you will not be able to see it on screen. I don't know why. That's just how it goes. All right, so let's get started. So you had a lot of really awesome things on your likes and dislikes. So I definitely want to start with the top one or one of the top ones, which was
Mhm.
numerology. So tell me why this made your list. What Thank you for
Did
the
you hear Sean?
yeah. Thank you for the
He's
subscription, JD Wolf.
Oh, yay. Yeah, Sean is clearly gonna be a part of the stream now. Just you don't have a choice. We don't have
Okay,
a choice.
that's fine.
He's gonna sit here meowing. He's like, "Mom, the stream's over. What are we doing here?" Um, so numerology, I've always you're gonna laugh. I kind of I've loved horror movies my whole life, and certain things about horror movies have numerology aspects in them.
Okay.
Like the number 23, there's a lot of like demonic possession type of things that are about the three knocks and 666 and all these things. And I really don't have a lot of information about them in general. And then I started studying tarot in 2021 and realized there's a lot of numerology involved. So I've learned a little bit here and there as I get to know tarot more and more. But even in tarot, it only goes up to like 22. So I've learned a lot about numerology from about that perspective.
Hmm.
But I know there's so much more, and I'm so interested in it, and I never just sit down and like research it. So
Okay. Yeah. What I know about numerology, for the sake that like my people have certain numbers. EBX mom, thank you for the follow. If for like I people have sometimes their number, right? Like the number that they associate themselves with, or like
Mhm.
I grew up in house 7, so seven's my lucky number. Um, for me, my number's 5. Always come up. Basketball, I was the number 5. You know, 5 this, 5 that. So I'm interested in what like you've studied your time in numerology, you want to know so much more, but what do you know, like what is your number?
I don't I've never been particularly drawn to numbers, to be honest with you. Like, I don't feel like I have a number. There was, like, a year in, like, 20 it was either 2021 or 2022, where every time I looked at the clock, it happened to be 11:11. Like, I every single day, AM or PM, it was 11:11. It
Mm-hmm.
stopped happening since, though, but that was crazy for, like, 1 whole year this happened. But I don't really have a number, really.
Okay.
I've never felt particularly drawn. I don't have a lucky number. That's so
Okay.
boring.
No,
Don't most
it's
people
not.
have a
No,
lucky number?
I don't think so. But it's funny because 1111 does come up. Protein makes a good point because I had an 1111 year or so. And then there's a song called Constantine by Something Corporate where it
Mhm.
goes, I always catch the clock. It's 1111. And now it's time to talk or something along those lines. And I was like, oh my God, 1111 is real. I'm not the only one. It's in a song. I'm going to make you
Yeah.
a little bigger here. I'd like to see you. Yeah, there we go. Um, so I'm curious as far as what we can see, what we can find here, and I love looking at what it derives from. So, two Greek words, um, meaning number and divinate. Really, okay. I want to say divination, but I'm also really bad at reading. But basically, the
Interesting.
study of divination through numbers.
Okay, that makes sense though.
Right.
I
So
don't think I like the word ar arithmancy though.
yeah, neither do I. That's why I'm not going
I
to say
don't.
it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that word. It's not fun.
No, arithmetic. Oh no. Uh, so let's see. An inscription from the 8th century BC declares the king built a wall of 16,283 cubits long and corresponded with the numerical value of his name.
Okay.
So it started that early. Um, I mean, okay, so there's different methods that goes to alphabet. I feel like that's code.
Right.
Like if I'm getting a code ring on my ring and I have to determine how to spell something and it's like 6, 7, 8 and be like FGH, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So so I don't know about this, but okay, so tell me as much as you know about numerology.
Okay, so all I know is literally about tarot.
Okay.
And it's more like the number has to do with the journey. And if it's 1 to 10, those are like the strongest numbers. For me, the most I know is 1 through 10, but it's all in relation to tarot. So I don't know if it actually, exceeds any other subject in terms of numerology, but like 1 to 10 is like a journey in your life. So 1 would be the beginning stages, new opportunity, new friendship, new job, blah, blah, blah. 2 is, okay, you're into the journey now, and now you're making choices. 2s are always choices. 3 is you're meeting new people. There's usually friends. 3s normally refer to groups. 4s refer to foundation and stability. Because like I don't know, my tarot teacher's like, think of a table or a chair. They have 4 legs. I know. 5s are typically change. 6s and 7s, with tarot specifically, they're not all the same. So
Okay.
they're just a terrible example.
A
Um,
terrible example.
I see what you did there. Terrible. Uh, and so 6s and 7s are honestly like a weak spot for me within those 10. And then 8s are usually perseverance,
Mhm.
hard work. 9s are usually not kind of similar to 8s because it's like 10 is the end of the journey. 10 is success and being over the hump and rewards. So 9 is kind of that last exhaustion point and pushing through, also perseverance. And so like those numbers mean the most to me in terms of, you know, reading tarot, which is the only real experience I have with numerology at this point.
Right.
So, there again, like I said, the tarot goes up to 22 major arcana, so there are other numbers involved,
Hmm.
but those 10 are the ones that really seem to mean the most.
Is the in the tarot deck? Does it go up to only like? And I'm gonna butcher this. Like 10 of Pentacles. Like, does it only go? You said it goes up to 23, but inside the card deck itself, when they go like, does it go like 15 of Pentacles, or does it stop at 10?
It stops at 10. So there's the major arcana and the minor arcana. The minors are, like you just said, the pentacles, the cups, the swords, and the wands. Those are the minors, and they go 1 to 10, and then the court cards, just like a regular deck of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And those do pertain to 11, 12, 13, 14. Like you can assign those that.
Right.
And then the majors go 0 to 22.
Got it.
So there are 23 of them, but there's a 0. So, yeah, there's I think what 78 tarot cards. So it is kind of convoluted in the amount, like the numerology that's in tarot. And I think that's why now that I'm like 3 years into studying tarot, I'm even more into like learning numerology.
That makes sense. Um, okay, so you started. You said in 2021.
Mhm.
What was your what? How'd you get driven to that? What made you so interested in it that you wanted to start learning it?
I'd always been totally into it, into the idea. I'd always loved traditional tarot art. And by traditional, now I know that means, and I'm sorry if I'm mansplaining anything. I don't know what
You're
you
not.
may or may
This
not
is
know.
this is your show, and imagine nobody knows anything.
Okay, all right. That makes me feel better actually.
Good.
So the most traditional version of tarot is called the Rider-Waite Smith deck.
Okay.
Aaron splain, if you will. Uh, and so that is in my head the tarot decks that I'd always seen that I loved. Like I really was drawn to uh those types of art. And so my best friend Jen had a tarot deck that had been gifted to her many years ago, but she never really got into it. And she had shown me the art and I'm like, "Wow, that's really cool." And she's like, um it like, literally, because of the pandemic, I then had enough time to start learning things.
Right. Right.
She's like, my tarot reader holds a class once a month, and I'm pretty sure they're doing it online now, so it's a little bit more accessible." And I was like, "Oh, done. How much is it? And tell me when and where." And so it was actually like a combination of me wanting to get into it because I've always been drawn to the art, but also Jen having a deck, and it kind of made it like a gateway for me, that my best friend has a deck, so, okay, I'm t taking that as, "You know what? Let's jump into it," and I did, and that's literally it, and then Trish, uh, for anybody not who doesn't know, my partner's name is Trish, she is Vlad Diamore in the chat, um, she got me my first deck ever for either Christmas or my birthday in 2021. And so that was it. That's history is yeah. I was just always into it and that's trash it if you're nasty. Exactly. I was always into it and I just kind of finally went, you know what? There's a pandemic and I have a little bit more time now. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, you do tarot on tarot. Is tarot?
Yes. Tarot,
Okay,
yes.
on stream sometimes, which I think is super fascinating. So that you're able to just like you're learning through your classes online, you're
Mhm.
then helping teach and apply your knowledge online itself too. How do you feel? I mean, have you done live readings versus the ones online? Do you find that there's big differences to it? And if so, tell me what those are.
Honestly, I haven't really done the only person I've read for in real life is Trish, actually. Um, and everybody else has been either on Twitch, like, like this,
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one on Twitch, or I'm usually not even talking to them on Twitch. It's usually just my own stream. And then what I do is I set up like a Ko-fi shop and I do 1 to 12 card readings, and what I do is I document the whole thing, take all of my notes, type them up, and I record a video. And sometimes these videos, if it's 12, cards,
Right.
which doesn't happen very often, but, sometimes they're 20 minutes long. So, "Get your tail, please, out." He is just all about this stream right now. Uh, and so really my process for doing like tarot on Twitch is relatively new. It kind of freaks me out. It like stresses me out in a good way though. Like it's challenging and I love it and it freaks me out sometimes that people, "Oh, TOS, TOS." Come on. Um, it freaks me out sometimes because people will be like, "Wow, that was scary. It read D to filth yesterday." And I'm like I pulled the card and I was like, "Dude, I'm so sorry. Like I'm about to air some of your shit here." Like, I guess we talk a lot offline, so I knew how relevant the card was, you know?
Right.
So it's becoming different processes over time. If you'd told me 2.5 years ago that I'd be reading for people other than myself, let alone in public spaces, I would have been like, "No, no, no, I'm not."
Not true.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So, what do you know? Okay, so you've taken classes about it. So, what do you know about the history of it? Do you know much about the history?
I only know a smidgen about the history. I just looking at the screen right now, that's about the only thing I knew. Was that it was kind of a an amalgamation of, like, all religions, and it started in Italy, but it was actually heavily Catholic. There's a this is one of the only things I know, is that there is a very, 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 very old church in Italy, and all of the tiles around the border of the building and on the floor, it's all tarot cards. I know, and
Insane.
there are pictures online. I forget what the church is called. I have it written down in my notes somewhere, but it's a beautiful church in Italy. And yeah, it's a lot of people think that tarot was derived from, like, the occult, you know?
Right.
But really there's so much representation from different religions in those cards.
Let's see if this is the only one. It was the Influence Later Societies of Church of Light, which had tarot practices. That might not be it. Because I just typed in church to see if the church walls came into.
Right.
So, okay, so here's the. I have to zoom out of this. This is a lot. Hold on.
Too much.
Let me do some fixing up here. Give me one moment. Chat. Na, 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 na.
Oh,
Okay.
here's some drama.
Yeah.
The Smith in Rider-Waite-Smith, all of the art was done by a woman, and for like hundreds and hundreds of years, Waite and Crowley dudes were like, we're not going to give her credit, and it took so many years to get the Smith added. At
Wow.
the end, yeah, the
Huh.
drama.
Yeah, for
I know.
sure.
Mm-mm.
All right, that's a little bit easier to read. That was really big font for those of us who need big font. But um, okay, so the major arcana: Fool, Magician, High Priestess. Do you know them by heart? Could you just like name them?
Not in order,
Okay.
but I could probably name them all by heart, just not in order. Um, And they all do relate to a zodiac sign. I actually, since learning tarot, so I'm a Capricorn, I'm the devil card, and I'm like, I think my number might be just 15 now. Uh, I might have a number now, and it might be 15,
Yeah.
uh, because that is the devil card,
Yeah.
which I love.
I am a Taurus, so I am the Hierophant.
Hierophant,
Whoa,
yes.
it's the fifth card. See?
I
See?
love that. I unironically love that for you.
There we go. You know, somebody yesterday had the audacity to be like, I learned in this group that if you just say, I love that for you, but not for myself. And I was like, no, that's a term. Like, I love that for you is just as good as bless your heart. Like, it has the same connotations. And they're like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, trust me, it's been done. But anyway, let's check out
Yeah.
the Siena Cathedral. Let's see if
Yeah,
that's.
I don't entirely know, to be honest. I don't remember it, and I don't have my notes up here. So it could be that. And so I think it's so interesting that there's still this church to this day. Obviously, it's not in perfect condition, but that a lot of people think that tarot is occult and satanic, whatever. No, it literally was derived from religion. The floor.
Is that.
That is not particular one of them. I have seen pictures of it, but that it does not look familiar to me. Um,
Yeah, I'm not
that
seeing the
Yeah,
windows.
it might not be that one. I know it's, around it's like a tile around and
Okay.
then the floor. That's what I know.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah, because this all has none of that.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
tried, and that's what
Yes.
matters. And knowing is half the battle. Um, okay, so that's weird that I'm a five, and that it's five. Um,
It's not weird. I love that. I do love that for you.
thank you. I find it weird that some of these like are like Jupiter, like they're not a
Yes.
that goes element planet sign.
Yes, here's why, is because there's 23 major arcana cards and there's
Right.
only, what, 12 zodiac signs?
It's 11 or
I think.
12.
Yeah, I think it's an even number, so
Yeah,
I
it's
think
from
it's 12.
12.
Yeah, and so some of them don't have a zodiac sign attached to them, and they are just ruled by planets, they are ruled by elements, so and then there's 2 or 3 cards that actually are ruled by all the elements. They're like the big super powered ones, um, which are like the Magician, and the Wheel of Fortune is one of them. Those might be the World might be the other one. They do have a ruling planet, but they have a whole lot of power behind them.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty sweet. The world. Oh, I gotta take that away. I don't think she had
Ooh,
nipples, so.
I know, dude, when I was doing tarot readings on my stream on Monday, my new deck has a ton of nipples, and I'm like, "Oh, no, I love it so much, but there's so much TOS."
Yeah.
Oh.
We were
Oh,
doing somebody who did the what's it the poop book when you were little. It's everybody poops, and
yeah.
there was all these butts
Oh,
everywhere,
yeah.
and I was
That's
like, oh
funny.
my god, there's so many butts, but
Yeah.
there
Would
was
have never even
nothing.
thought of that.
Yeah, it's like we gotta be careful what we talk about.
Yeah.
Had to use the modesty finger with the tarot cards.
Yeah, Trish was holding them up and, like, strategically putting, like, if this is the card, she would, like, hold it like this. It was so stupid.
That's so funny. So, how many? I don't want to. I don't think I want to ask this question, but it's. Let's see if you know the answer to it. Is what I'm trying to
Okay,
say.
okay.
How many people do you think that you've influenced to learn tarot? Because I feel like by doing this, you've had to people be like I know Books, Brews, and Booze is like super interested in this, right?
Mhm.
Is there other people that are coming out of the woodwork that says like, hey, I want to do this?
Um, they aren't coming to me and saying that, but I know that I have influenced other people to not feel afraid to dive into it.
Excellent.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
People have said they are more comfortable with it now because I am shining a light on what it means. And I've done readings for people that were really like so not about it, but because they, a great example, this happened on Monday. I was doing tarot readings on my stream, and there were two people who don't know anything about tarot. One of them was kind of freaked out. He was like, "It's gonna tell me to lose weight. It's gonna tell me I'm dying." And I'm like, "No, that's not how it is. That's not what it does." And so even just destigmatizing
Right.
tarot is not even getting people to get into it, but just destigmatizing it in general, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, I think that's a great you definitely have a platform to do so, and I think that that spreads a lot of good knowledge out there. So, thank you for
Mhm.
doing that.
Oh, I
Um
like doing it.
yeah, and the fact that you like what you do, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the double. Um, yeah, super intimidated by it, says Books. I totally
Mhm.
get that. Yeah, when I first got it, it was now how would you describe somebody who does tarot? Just a tarot card reader, and what do they call them? Like oracle
Um,
psychics? Like what is the
Honestly, it's to each their own.
Okay.
Honestly, it's because not all I wouldn't call myself psychic. I don't particularly feel like I have psychic abilities. I don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
I just called myself a tarot reader.
Got it.
Um, so I think it just depends on, some people tarot witch. There's, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different versions of that. It's just whatever the person wants to identify as.
Right. And my mom was very, very big on let's start with this. My mom's best friend was able to read tarot very, very well. But she's also sort of psychic. She's feels like she's able to connect to some people. She feels like all of that. She's seen stuff in her house that makes her feel as though she is. So she's done readings for me as someone who was young, and I was like, wow, you're right. This isn't so bad. Like I thought death was like death, I was worried like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm 17 years old and I'm going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think that, especially the death card. I'm glad you said it. It's
Yeah.
it's not necessarily what it means.
Right. And so I think getting used to it at a young age also helped destigmatize it for me.
Mhm.
All right. So, I mean, I feel like, yeah, old white man going through and not putting people's names on things. Let's see if
Yep.
there's any more. Um, Tara, okay. Okay, so it goes into an even just by deck, just by the main decks that you can get,
Mhm.
what the first one is. So the juggler is also the magician.
So I think that first one is, like, one of the original French decks.
Got it. Yes,
Yes.
you are correct.
Yeah, because Italian and French, they go back and forth, like, fighting, I guess, about who started it. Because it again, like what we just read in the wiki, it started in Italy, but then there are these really, really old French decks that you could still get. They're still printed. They like, they're new. They're
Right.
modern decks, but you can buy what they are. And they go back and forth all the time about which one is older, even though they think that maybe it started in Italy, but people would migrate and
How it
who knows?
changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not terribly familiar with any of them except for Rider-Waite-Smith and Toth,
Okay.
which is that last one, Crowley.
Okay. Okay. And they seem to be mostly the same.
Mhm.
Just
It's
as,
like slight adjustments here and there.
yeah.
There's 2 extra major arcana cards in the Toth.
Okay.
Um, Other than that, it's basically the same. Uh,
And have you gone
yeah.
back and forth between the two?
A little bit actually. So Trish bought me a deck that it's this thing because she didn't know this when she bought it, but I've only really been, like, schooled and taught in Rider-Waite-Smith, but this deck she bought me is actually an 80 deck card, and it represents both, the main Rider-Waite-Smith, and then it also added the additional Toth ones, which is really neat, but
Yeah.
then the court cards are different too. They're prince and princess instead of page and knight, and they have different meanings. So I kind of anytime I wanna use that deck or I'm feeling like I wanna use that one, I kinda have to have a different hat on to think a little differently about the cards that come up because they don't mean the same thing.
Right.
When originally I thought they did, and then when I started to read, they all come with little booklets, uh, which I love. And I was reading and I was like, "Oh, crap, like, these are not the same thing." I thought, one just translated to the other, but it's super not.
Is it?
Is
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, my brain automatically reads the chat when it moves. It's
You're totally fine. Go ahead and
dreamer
answer the
brain.
question. Yeah.
Honestly, I only have the one deck. And that deck is really dark. So I don't think it's like Toth. I don't think it's inherent problem or energy. That deck is all like black, white, and red, and it's by an artist, like a company called Pixel Occult, and it's just darker. And so it does tend to make me feel darker. It feels like darker energy, heavier energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want Thoth energy. Thoth energy. Thoth. There it is. So yeah, I don't think it's specifically because it's Thoth.
Okay.
And Jen's first deck actually was a Thoth deck, and she only learned it was Thoth until we started classes together, and nothing matched up.
Right.
And she would pull a card, and she would see one thing, and then the teacher would be like, that's not
Oh
what that
no.
means." And so she didn't realize she had a Toth deck until we started taking classes together.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, which was very confusing for her because she had been learning it. Um, Interesting, I've heard Toth decks are darker. I think it depends on the artist. What I've learned the most about tarot is that it's what you are drawn to. If you like dark decks, then you should be reading with dark decks. Like, literally, like, the art is dark, you know?
Right. What do you do for people? It says criticism of the people who say like, I don't believe in this or this is fake or whatever. Like, and they come into your chat and say that as not even trying to be trolls. Just you try your best to educate them. But what do you do about that? Is that the same thing as somebody who will say something about your singing or your piano playing or whatever? Is it the same reaction?
Honestly, yeah, but nobody's come at me about tarot.
That's good.
Yeah, I've only really done it on stream maybe 5 times total. Like, meaning, like, maybe 5 different streams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. It might even be less than that. Um, but if they did, honestly, when somebody comes in and is like, "You're ugly," I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Thanks." So So, like, that's probably honestly the same reaction is, uh, I don't believe in that, or you're making shit up. I'd be like, yeah, I literally am. You're right. Actually, I'm picking up a card and this is what it means. And it's not my problem if it relates to the person or not. I am making shit up. Just explaining the cards.
Right. The cards will do what the cards will do.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Well, okay, so we talked about numerology, we talked about tarot. Um, I'm curious. That just got me so hard.
Oh no, what?
Taxidermy. So explain to me about taxidermy and why it made your list. Cause I gotta know.
This might be my dad's fault, and you
Okay.
can everybody can blame him. Trish can blame him because Trish is not into taxidermy, but I am. Uh, I he hear me out. I didn't know that okay, so I grew up with a little bit of taxidermy in my parents' house. They're still there.
Hmm.
There's 2 goats and a boar. Um, and, they've always been there, and I understood that they were real and that they were preserved and whatever. I never had any real feelings about them, okay? Like, didn't love them, didn't hate them, they just existed on the walls in the basement, whatever. And then in 2019, I think 2019, and Trish, correct me if I'm wrong, we went to our first ever Oddities and Curiosities, expo. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Okay.
Um, they are these expos to oh, that's Trish exactly nailed it. It's this traveling convention of the weirdest shit that people make,
Okay.
basically. And the amount of taxidermy booths was amazing, and but it's not just like here's a skunk. It's like the most creative stuff you've ever seen with these like with beads and crystals and these ornate beautiful things that people have made with obviously these dead creatures.
Right.
And I never felt particularly drawn to it until I saw these things in person and I was like, "Holy crap, this is art. Oh my god, I love this." And then I started following taxidermists on social media, and I ended up buying myself as a gift to myself. Just I never buy anything like this. I always buy accessories, a necklace or a cute shirt or something, but I bought myself this very beautiful jackalope with it's very small and it's on the wall downstairs. It's a little jackalope bust with white horns and opal eyes. And it's white and tan and it's beautiful and very fluffy. And I don't know, but I just and also, something of interest too is that my the no, the tattoo artist I've been going to for over a decade also, kind of she has a wall in her studio called her Pretty Dead Thing wall, but they're not taxidermy, they're actually all just preserved bones,
Okay.
and they're in little cases, so they're like mice and snakes and things like that, and I've never been particularly drawn to those, but then when I saw it's just so I've always had it around me, I guess is my point. Um, and I always loved that she had her wall. Those are my pretty dead things. Like, I don't know, tattoo artists. And now I have to have the goat heads forever because I want them. Yeah. Uh, and I just there's something so intriguing about them because I've never been somebody who is like had those red flags of like, "Oh, she's into death." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like those very typical psychological red flags. I'm not never been like that. I love animals. I love cats. I love dogs. I love animals. And so it kind of surprised me when I was like really drawn to these beautiful they were like skunks and raccoons and like foxes and I I was just really drawn to them. And I have no explanation for them to be honest.
You don't need one. I think that it's
And
fascinating that after life you can still make something beautiful.
yes, exactly, and it doesn't have to be, um, I don't even know what the word it's pretentious isn't the word, but it's art, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, it's being put to use, whether you used the skin for a piece of clothing that you needed or whether you ate the meat or whether you created art with it. It's making somebody happy and it's being used, and
Right.
I just think it's so beautiful, um,
Now, how is
and that's
that
really it.
different from people who hunt and put deers on their? Is there any difference to you who people who put deers as trophies?
Not really. I mean, my and I'll use my dad as an example is that him and his brothers hunt and they have a wall of I don't think there's any actual taxidermy. I think it's just the preserved horns
Okay.
in their cabin up north. Um and so I think that hunting is one thing. Hunting is quite literally hunting and gathering. You
Right.
are hunting and my dad and his brothers bring the meat home and feed the families.
Yeah.
And yes, you might have a trophy, like, "I'm really proud of this kill." Obviously, I don't feel so different. I mean, I feel a lot differently about sport. That's
Right. Yeah.
that's a whole different thing that is a whole other can of worms.
Mhm.
Oh, just horns, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, I don't think there's any actual deer in the cabin, just the horns, because we're a hunting family.
Right.
So, I've been eating venison since I was a child,
I
very
love
small kid.
venison. Love
Me too.
venison.
Venison doesn't love me anymore, but I love it.
Oh, venison
Um
burgers.
oh, yes. Venison roasts.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. So
Um,
I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of hunting, gathering, feeding your family,
mhm.
sport hunting, endangered species, all of those things, and blah, blah, blah. That's not okay, none of that's okay, but
Mhm.
all of the taxidermists that I have supported, it was because the animal had already passed away,
Right.
or they were donated by somebody for that reason.
That makes
Um
sense.
Yeah. So it's
The
all ethical.
Yeah, and so a friend of mine, we had a giant pig roast at one of the events that we had. I do a nerd sport, and so we have big camping events of like 300 people, and we had this big pig roast, and my one friend is like, "Give me the head," and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Give me the head. I need the bones. I need to collect these bones, and I'm gonna preserve them." And I was like,
Oh.
that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Like, like you just want the head of this pig so you can preserve the head of this pig. Now she wanted the bones specifically, not
Mhm.
just the head part, but I was like, that's really cool. Like we're all eating parts of this pig. We're all being fed. We're all, was it for
Yeah.
sport? It was for hunting. But at the same token, she's using the head and turning it into something beautiful. And the piece turned out beautiful.
Ugh.
So yeah, I completely agree that that concept, not that concept, that reality
Mhm.
of being able to use taxidermy or preserving the afterlife, I think is really something to
Yeah.
be noted.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And I've always it's one of those morbid curiosities. And especially nowadays with reels and TikTok and all the things, taxidermists are regularly, like, posting their processes, and it's all, like, trigger warning type of stuff because they
yeah,
realize not this is sensitive material, you
mm-hmm.
know? Um, but honestly, I don't know much about it. I've seen a little bit of the process, but I honestly don't know much about it.
Oh, welcome in, Captain E-Rock. What?
Hey.
I don't know what Chuck Testa is.
No either.
Oh, god
I don't
damn
know
it,
either.
Bullet.
Sorry, that was my friend Bullet. I had forgot to take that one off. But yeah, I don't either. Okay, Sakura. Captain Rock, thank you so much for the raid. Everybody, welcome to the zoo. Sit back, relax, enjoy the bamboo. Welcome on in. We are Wiki Wednesdaying with EBX Erin, known as Erin. EBX is her band, Elsie Binks. And so we right now are talking about taxidermy. So, got it. So we were talking about taxidermy. We're kind of wrapping up this subject about essentially preserving life after death and that appreciation of it. If y'all don't know what Wiki Wednesday is, we have topics, likes, and dislikes of the streamer, and then we go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole and learn some new things. So um, let's see. We had Chuck Testa is taxidermy. Do I need to look
Oh,
that up?
is it safe? Can we look it
I know,
up?
right? Testa
It's
is
always
making
scary.
me just concerned. The word Testa, wiki
Right.
it. All right, all right. I trust you guys.
It's safe. Okay.
Okay, okay. He's an American taxidermy and a meme. So he's a meme. Oh, he's from Rhett and Link. Okay, I've seen Rhett and Link before. Um, Good Mythical Morning. He was promoted on earlier episodes. Commercial asserts that Tessa's work is so realistic that people will assume the animals are still alive. It depicts people reacting to what they believe are live animals in usual situations. Look at that antelope driving a car, only to Tessa appear and declare, "Nope, that's Chuck Testa." A phrase became popular on
Oh,
Reddit and Tumblr, and media coverage on Fox News and CBS.
in 2011.
Wow.
How did I miss that?
All right, you're out giving us some deets.
This I just we both all just learned something.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good Wikipedia. Um,
Huh.
okay, so we 2011 makes sense. Old meme is old.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed it. Like I was in 2011, I was graduating college. I was the perfect like candidate to find this information. How did I miss that?
I don't know. Perfect for Wiki Wednesday. That's right.
Yeah, it really is.
Um, age 66 to 67. So he was in his 50s when that came out. He was born in 1956. That's
Yeah, 'cause that was
crazy.
over 10 years ago,
I
yeah.
was expecting like a super young dude to be on Rhett and Link, but no, he's a pro. That's
I don't know
crazy.
what Rhett and Link is.
So Rhett and Link is a commercial that was really famous on YouTube.
Okay.
It was one of the first YouTube shows I had ever watched.
Huh.
You can real quick look at their faces. That's them.
Mm.
And they're just real funny guys that do funny things and yeah, Good Mythical Morning. They just do a
Huh.
bunch of funny stuff, so good watch. I've kind of just grown out of watching YouTube people. I just
Yeah.
primarily stay on Twitch, but
Yeah,
um,
same. I was big into YouTubers back then though. That's
mm-hmm.
why I'm like kind of amazed I don't know what this is, but maybe I may have already grown out of it by 2011.
Yeah,
I was big into YouTubers in like '07, '08, '09. So, I might have just missed that.
yeah, they can. 1984, media, blah blah. Good Mythical Morning on January 2011. The duo launched a show. Good Mythical. Where
Yeah.
were you in 2011? I don't know.
That was my birthday. I was born on January 4th. So
Oh,
on my
okay.
birthday, so I turned 22 the day after they launched that. I don't know what I was doing, but
That's funny.
Ah.
Did you? Oh, that's a weird question. Um, did you, no? Because you said you were 22 in 2011. So I was asking if you were
Yeah.
turning 30 in 2020,
I
which you
turned
turned 31.
31.
I was
Yes.
just curious because that always reminds me of Bo Burnham's song about turning 30 in 2020. And
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I actually did get to have my 30th birthday party at a
yeah,
bar, and I had a brunch the next day with my family, so I actually did I'm grateful I got to have a 30 before the pandemic.
yeah, yeah. Any? No, you're fine, Iraq. Okay, so we wanted tarot, but I don't. I didn't really want to. Even when we typed in tarot, right? Or if I could not spell tartot. Um,
I would love to give you a tartot reading.
yeah,
I don't know
thank
what
you.
you're talking about.
It clicked over to paranormal. And so I was curious as far as you had put paranormal investigation, what do you believe those two should be in the same category? That's question one. And
Okay.
question two is what about, we've got a bunch of main articles here of ghost hunting and magic and psychometry. Anyway, point is that there's a lot of different things here.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So, uh, do I think that paranormal and investigation should be in the same
Mm-hmm.
category, title? I do. Um, I think that going back to some of the OGs like Ed and Lorraine and Holzer, I think that there's some actual evidence that they had no reason to fake at the time. There was no virality. Nobody was trying to go viral with, you know what I'm saying? Like there was no reason other than scientific research
Yeah.
to do this type of stuff, and astral projection is like the first thing there. And if for anybody who doesn't know what projection is, just watch the Insidious series. That's what astral projection is. And it actually represents it relatively well. Um because I do think that there is some truth. Do I think that fucking Zach Bagans is telling the truth on Ghost Adventures? No, I don't. I think I think a lot of those shows are garbage. I think that there's a chance they do catch some cool stuff, but I think that it's probably 75% exaggerated and manufactured, you know? Um, you can't tell me that they don't go to locations and then find exactly nothing, but now they have no TV show. So you
Right.
know what I mean? The episode would be terribly boring,
Yeah.
uh, without that. So it's, I do think that it is investigatory? Invest is it a word?
Investable? I don't know.
And I make up words a lot.
Okay, let
So
me try to spell it out on Google.
investigatory,
Investigatory. Yeah.
investigative. Either way, it's a word and I didn't make it up. I am happy. uh that's true. And so I do think that there is a certain amount of investigating. I don't think it's like the way people think about like a criminal investigation, it's not, but I feel like investigate means find facts, find truth, find evidence, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Investigate. Go invest. Oh, there's a noise in your house. Go investigate it. You know?
Don't be
So I
afraid
think
of it.
there's
Go investigate it.
yeah. So it's like I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong about that. Um but like a lot of those things that are in that little paranormal category right there, I have no idea what some of that is. I'm not gonna lie. Cryptozoology, not a clue what that is.
It's a
Um
pseudoscience and subculture that searches for art for studies unknown legendary extinct animals whose present
oh,
existence is disrupted. So Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, Yeti, and Chupacabra.
I should know that. I had no idea that that's what that was. Because I'm not that big of a fan of Bigfoot, but I'll watch stuff about the Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah,
So, that I should have known that.
yeah.
I love learning.
It's so good. It's a fun thing to do. That's why we're in Wiki. Um, your dad's a professional cryptozoologist. You could be a professional one.
I don't even that doesn't mean anything.
I can't tell if they're kidding or not.
Right. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I have no idea. That could mean literally anything. Although, I mean, people do. Oh, if I don't know if Mothman would definitely uh I don't know if Mothman would be considered that cuz he's more cryptid. Straight face. Oh, then you were not kidding. I don't know why I also thought it was a joke. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to people constantly joking that I assume everything's a joke, and I'm so sorry. Uh,
It's fair.
Investigal. Close enough. Uh,
Jersey Devil. Oh yeah. Do you know about the Jersey
yes.
Devil?
A little bit. That's an Appalachia kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. That's
that.
a New Jersey thing.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about the Jersey Devil. I know quite a lot about Mothman. I actually have one of the only like 100 little baby statues. It's like the exact replica of the actual statue that's in Point Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of them. I think they only made like 1,000 or something. I don't
That's
even remember.
so cool.
Yeah, one of my aunts lives very near there, and my dad went to Point Pleasant and went to the shop, and they had one.
Wow.
And so he was able to get it. So I have one of the actual Mothman replica statues.
100.
100. I couldn't remember if it was 1,000 or 100. That's a big difference.
Wow.
Oh, an oracle deck based on cryptids. I have seen cryptid decks and I'm so tempted. Okay. I'm so tempted.
Yeah, that's really
Uh,
sweet. Wait, so see, okay, what do you feel about a Ouija? A Ouija?
so I have a Ouija board. I've never used it because I believe in it enough to where I don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah.
I think that there are spirits that cross over and end up here and they can be good, bad, demonic. I think that there's no reason for us to believe that that veil has a harsh border. And if there's something somewhere that wants to do me harm and I accidentally mess something up, like absolutely not. I I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't. But I do have one. I bought one from a disabled small business owner a couple years ago. I forget her name on Etsy because she had closed her shop, so you can't like go to it anymore. But she's queer, disabled, Norse pagan, and I wanted to support. She makes like these beautiful resin Ouija boards, so I bought one.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, and so I have one, and the planchette and the board live in separate rooms because they always say don't keep them together.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot of weird situations with the Ouija board to the point that my mom took it out to the dumpster, or not the dumpster, the trash can, and lit it on fire.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that.
Like she was done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in my closet. Like, I have it, like, underneath some stuff in my closet, and I think the planchette is actually in this room somewhere, but I don't know where it is anymore, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, probably. That's good of you
Yeah.
supporting the business owner. That's really nice of you.
Yeah.
All right. What's a weird one we've found on this list here?
Mm, I don't know what stone tape is.
Okay, so let's see that. I have to
I
scroll down. The stone tape theory. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on a sec. Let me do this.
There we go. Oh,
There. The
there.
stone tape theory is a speculation that ghosts and hauntings are analogous to tape recordings and that mental impressions during emotional or traumatic events can be projected in a form of energy recorded onto rocks and other items replayed under certain conditions. What?
I have heard this before.
What is this?
I have heard this before, but I can't even think of a good example.
How do
I
you
have
play a
heard of it.
rock?
I don't okay, it's not that you play it, it's
Okay.
that under certain circumstances, it and again, this is so far
Yeah,
out there
yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of supernatural. Under certain circumstances, it's like, have you heard of, like, residual hauntings?
Yes.
So, like and for anybody who doesn't know what that means, it's that it's not an intelligent spirit in your home or in a place or something, it's just residual. It's as if they're just going on about their day, doing the routine they did, and so things just might happen, and it has nothing to do with what you are doing, and I feel like that's kind of it's related to this, is in some very specific, how objects hold energy, it's very much like that,
Got it. Okay. So
and
you would
then
have to
it's
have somebody who'd be able to read that. Like,
yeah, yes, yes.
let me see. So, science geologist claims that stone tape theory is a misleading term that suggests a compass structure, credibility, and exploring of the scientific theory, while in reality it is speculation that lacks physical basis. According to her, it is an attempt to present a pseudoscientific claim in a seemingly scientific style. Hmm.
Yeah, I forget what the term is for people who can read objects. There is an actual term for that.
Let's see.
Is it psychometry? Is that what it is?
Is yeah the also known as token object is a form of extrasensory perception characterized by
Yes.
claimability. Yes, so that's that. As far as the people, stone tape theory. I don't know. I don't know if it has a name.
Other than stone tape theory.
Yeah, that's what we. Yeah, someone's psychic. That's all right. So let's go back to your list. This was fun, but I was just
Yeah.
curious if you'd seen anything about that. Now, one more thing. You were talking about astral projection, weren't you?
Mhm. Yeah.
Tell me what you know about this, because you said to go see Insidious. Was that the
Yes.
okay? So tell me how
Yes.
this relates to Insidious.
So Insidious is a James Wan franchise. It's a horror franchise.
Hmm.
And it's very well done. There's 4 of them right now, and this sounds like an advertisement, and I promise it's not. I I wish I were getting paid from Insidious right now, okay? But, there's, like, a 5th one coming out, like, next week, no joke. And so when I first saw this movie, it's a family. It always starts with a family,
Hmm.
moving into a house, except the house doesn't actually have anything to do with it. It's actually the kid. Spoilers, this movie came out, like, 15 years ago, so but it gets more interesting, so I haven't totally spoiled everything. Like I said, there's a 5th one coming out. Um so basically this kid can astral project. This is also known as sleep paralysis,
Okay.
and That's the more scientific. So they're the same thing. Doctors call it sleep paralysis. Spiritualists will call it astral projection. It's the same thing. Um, and they can like they live in the same space basically. And so it can mean that the scientific term, or I guess the explanation, is that your eyes open and you wake up in the middle of the night, but your body is still asleep because when you're sleeping, your body doesn't really feel anything at all, but your brain woke up and your eyes open up. And so you are seeing things that you think you shouldn't be seeing. Now, the spiritualist is going to say, well, the things that you're seeing are actually there. You're seeing across dimensions, you're seeing across the veil, and you are seeing things that a person, yeah, it's terrifying. A person that's awake wouldn't be seeing. And then astral projection will also take it one step further and say you can leave your body and go outside your house. You can travel around the whole world. You can fly. You can do all these things. And then just re-enter your body and wake up like a person would in the morning. That's the premise of the Insidious franchise. I I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I'm trying to think. There was one something similar to that where this kid or whatever was able to do astral projection, but if the tether was cut, he'd be stuck in the astral plane forever. Like imagine something coming from your belly button and being attached to your physical body. If that
Mhm.
was cut, then you would be stuck. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that is that insidious or is that completely something different.
I mean, the kid gets lost, spoilers.
Got
The
it.
kid gets lost because he doesn't travel back in time, so it I don't know if this is part is true, but in the movie, it's kind of like if you're gone too long, if you go too far away from your physical body, you can get stuck.
Got
I
it.
don't know if that in itself is factual in any way. See, I haven't seen Doctor Strange, but that tells me that I should definitely watch Doctor Strange. Uh, but yeah, the tether thing is real.
Right.
That is very real.
Right.
And so I think it's very interesting. There is this other documentary called The Nightmare,
Okay.
and it has dramatizations in it, and it's about sleep paralysis from a scientific point of view. Um, and it is terrifying.
Hmm.
And that's when I realized I used to have sleep paralysis in my old bedroom.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna say anything, but Iraq said something along the line that I've in the last year have probably had sleep paralysis twice, maybe three
It's
times, and it is one of the most terrifying things.
I have never experienced it anywhere else. So my parents know that I think that it was situational. I don't think that I am special in the way that I can astral project. I think that I was being affected by something in that house, in that room, even. I can spend time in that house perfectly alone any time of the day, but that room that I grew up in very specifically doesn't feel right to me. And there was a person that died in the house. That's a fact, but it seems way more threatening than that.
Right.
Um, Although who knows? I don't know what that guy was like. He could have been very threatening.
Right.
Uh, but it's very I didn't know it was happening to me until I watched this documentary, and I don't remember when that documentary came out, but it was at least 10 years ago.
Got it.
Um, and so then when I saw the Insidious franchise, I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrifying." It's absolutely terrifying.
Sounds scary. I mean, the extra the your body leaves and the cord cut part. I mean, as far
Yeah.
as I've gotten it, my body was asleep, my head was awake. There was nothing I could do about it. I kept going from dream to not dream. I couldn't concentrate on anything along that lines. It was like I said, it was scary, but the whole leave your body and cut the cord thing, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
um
I
oh,
never felt like I could have left my body. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't feel like an option in those moments, but it happened a million times over. Like, I could never count I could never count, if I tried, how many times I feel like I woke up with sleep paralysis because it was very, very common in my childhood years.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I had forgotten, until it's okay now because it's so far removed.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's messed up.
Let's talk about gnomes. So I'm trying to change the subject so we don't have to relive those memories.
Fine.
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, Okay, so you put gnomes on your list. Is it just the garden gnome, or is it like this history of gnomes?
You know what? This is one of those things that I just love garden gnomes and there's no reason at all.
Okay.
But also I would love to learn the history of gnomes too. Like
Okay.
actual like the fae that is gnomes. I it turns out that I have Irish like DNA that we didn't know about until we actually got our ancestry done.
Mm-hmm.
So like fae is kind of something I've been recently way more allowing myself more to not necessarily even believe, but just research. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I have a few friends. Again, I'm in nerd culture who classify as gnomes, and they are funny people. We even our D&D has a guy who's a gnome mage, and he is just a riot. I mean,
What is
he's
I don't have any idea what a gnome mage is.
so basically it's just like I could be a human mage, right? So I could be a human wizard. He's a
Okay.
gnome wizard.
I didn't know mage was synonymous with wizard.
Yes,
There, give or take.
give or take. Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Got it. Got it.
So let's see. Earth dwelling spirit and often guarded mines and precious underground treasures. The gnomes of the Swiss folklore follow this template as they said to have caused the landslide and destroy the Swiss village of Plurs. The villagers had become wealthy from a gold mine, and they poured liquid gold down the vein to benefit of humans and were corrupted by this newfound prosperity and was greatly offended the gnomes. So, as far as I know, gnomes are shifty. Like, they're shifty gnomes. They're not. There's music? I'm sorry, what? Just. Yeah, in the Dungeons and Dragons, gnomes are one of the core races available for player characters. They are described as being smaller than dwarves and large nosed. They have an affinity with small animals and interest in gemstones. Depending on setting and subrace, they also have a natural skill with illusion, magic, and engineering.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Gizmo.
I love
Um.
that.
Yeah. So okay. So you're more about the garden gnome, though. Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm good. I'm good with learning about both, to be
Okay.
honest. I love both, I think, at this point. But I
But
do love garden gnomes. You will find them all over the place in my garden. We inherited a couple from Trisha's family that I repainted as like punk gnomes.
that's fantastic. Punk gnomes. Hmm. Traditionally depicts a male dwarf with a pointy hat. We know this. Oh, statues
Oh,
depicting fertility god. Also the protector of beehives, flocks, the vineyards were frequently placed in Roman gardens.
okay.
So, diminutive figures, two spans in height, who did not mix with humans. They were typically garishly painted as figurines, and they were placed in gardens of the wealthy. Hmm. So this has been going on for a long, long time.
That's really interesting.
Oh, and then they in 1930s an influx because of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
Yeah.
And then the traveling gnome, the garden gnome for pranks in popular national news. Yep. That's crazy.
You know what's funny is that we have a traveling gnome in our house because of Trisha's mom.
Yeah.
But it's teeny tiny and it's not painted any sort of way. It's just like a general glossed over like kind of lavender color and it's really small.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I think it just lives here now to be honest, but like anytime Trish would go over there or she came over here, her mom came over here, it would end up back at the other house until you find it.
That's like hide the pickle. Okay, I should reiterate what that means. So,
I'm like, I don't think that that means what you think it means.
no, it does. So, there's basically this little pickle, and you, like, once you find it in the other person's house, like, you go ahead and hide it in their house, and they have to find it, and you just find this tiny little, not a real pickle, obviously, this little figurine pickle, and you have to find it, and then you're just like, holy crap, I just found a pickle in my fridge. That wasn't a pickle.
It's not a pickle.
Not a pickle. Cannot eat this. But yeah, the
Oh, that's
wandering gnome.
fantastic.
That's adorable.
Yeah. I
That's
think more people
adorable.
should do that. I'm here to say that all of you in chat should consider buying a tiny gnome and playing this stupid game with your friends. because you know what? If it makes you smile, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I think that's just funny.
I
I don't think
agree.
it made Trish smile. I think it made Trish very unhappy.
People steal a garden gnome from an unknowing person's lawn and then send the owner photos of the gnome and sometimes a cryptic message that were supposedly written by the gnome for time as part of a practical joke for returning it. That's amazing.
That is amazing. I actually have my mom's gnome. Unironically, I have it right now. It needs to be repainted. That's why I have it. But I should paint it and then keep it hostage and take pictures of it.
I had a gnome and went back on vacation with all my friends in high school. Wow. I had a bear like that, where a bear, you had to tell where the bear was always going and you had to write down your trips, but I was also in third grade, so
We had a Flat Stanley. Did you guys have Flat Stanley?
no, it was just a teddy bear. What? Tell me about Flat Stanley.
Flat Stanley, I don't think this is real. I think that we made it up.
Okay.
I I think so it was literally just like this outline of a dude that you colored, you know, everybody had their own flat Stanley and then they laminated them and you had to send them around the world and have people send like it was almost like a pen pal type of thing
Mhm.
and then people would take pictures with them and send it back to you and you would show your teacher, do show and tell with it and it was called Flat Stanley.
That's
I don't
really cute.
yeah, and
Ours was
it
just
was
like I
like
went
a
to Six Flags. Like that's all ours was. But sending them around the world, that's really freaking cool.
yeah, they were like, if you have family in different countries, they really wanted you to send him
Send it.
around the world and then get him back, and then it would be like the letter was written from Stanley. Where did Stanley go? With pictures of Stanley.
That's adorable. I wonder. I
Yeah.
doubt Flat Stanley is in here, but you know what? You just Flat
Flat Stan Oh,
Stanley.
it's a book.
There you
Okay, I didn't make him
go.
up. I didn't make him up. My Canadian girlfriend. I feel a lot better about this.
Yeah, it's totally real.
It's real. Yeah, we should Flat Stanley it with all of our Twitch friends. Oh, Joni Mitchell was an illustrator. Holy cow.
Oh, I
That's
didn't know that.
wild. I wonder if it's, like, actually Joni Mitchell,
The
or
Joni
just a
Mitchell.
random person named Joni Mitchell.
You mean John Mitchell?
Random.
Or
I don't know,
no,
it said
it's John Mitchell.
oh, I thought it said Joni. Oh, I thought it said Joni, never mind. I got excited.
That sounded really cool. I was all about it. But then I
Right.
looked and it said John Mitchell, and I was like,
Oh,
oh,
I
I
thought
guess we
it said
can't look up Joni Mitchell.
no, it's okay.
Um,
I got excited.
I'm sorry. Let's get excited about sigils.
Oh, yes.
There we go. So you have sigils tattooed on you, don't you? Or
Not
no?
believe it not really, not
Okay.
specifically.
Now,
Um,
what makes you so interested in sigils?
so I don't know anything about, um like, okay, so, like, what this is referring to, like, Latin sigils and stuff, like, I don't know about seals.
Okay.
That is something I have no idea. What I know of sigils has to do with setting intentions and doing, like, spells in terms of, like, Wicca
Mm-hmm.
and pagan religions, um, because people will literally, I've had it was actually a part of one of my tarot classes, I think, at some point, about building an altar and making your own sigils. Um, and it's about having a word or a phrase, and then you take out all the vowels, and then you draw a picture using the rest of the letters, like some type of
Interesting.
symbol. It looks more it becomes a symbol, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's called more like a sigil. And oh, hi. Um, and so I've always been really interested in this, and I don't know if anybody knows who this is. Faruza Balk actually does this. She offers custom sigil making on her website, and they're very expensive, rightfully so.
Right.
That's a bucket list situation for me to have my own custom Faruza Balk sigil. Oh my god, I would just I that'd be one day. Um, but yeah, I've always been really interested in like, is there a wrong way? Is there you know what I mean? Like, what if I accidentally make this sigil and it's demonic or it looks but you know what I mean? I there's something really cool about that, and I've always ever since I realized you could just make your own sigils and then set an intention, put them in an altar, um, I just have been incredibly interested in it. But I don't know anything about, like, the seal, like, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah. Now,
that
does
was at,
this
like, the
make
top of the
sense?
page.
Does this make sense? The magician, right? But acknowledge the desire, lists the appropriate symbols, arranges them into easily visualized glyph.
Mhm.
Using the Gnostic techniques, he refines the sigil and then force of will hurls it into a subconscious where the sigil can begin work unencumbered by desire. Is that something you've heard of?
Yes, give or take. That's, like, the fanciest way
Got it.
to say that, basically. Um, I I really don't know a whole lot. I don't know what chaos magic refers to.
So, sigils are constantly created in a well ordered fashion by written intention, then condensing the letters of the statement down to a form of a sort of monogram. The
Mhm.
chaos magician then uses the Gnostic state, which is
I was gonna say I don't know what that is.
refers to an altered state of consciousness and where a person's mind is focused on one point, thought, or goal, or other thoughts are thrusted out. So it kind of sounds like meditating.
Okay.
To launch or charge the sigil, bypassing the conscious mind to implant the desired into the unconscious.
Um
Oh, right. I turned my mic down. I need to speak closer. There's fireworks going off, and I'm
Oh,
trying not to let them go onto screen. I'm so sorry, guys.
yeah.
So I'll talk closer to the mic because they're really loud outside my window. Um, but yeah, so essentially, hopefully you guys read that. But I said this is like a way of meditation, and then bypassing the conscious mind to implant the desire into the unconscious. So,
And so everything I had known about it to this point was more about creating your sigil, which it's more about intention. You know what I mean? In terms of religion and Wicca, all magic is about intention. It goes back to that destigmatization, people thinking magic is automatically demonic or of the occult when really it's if your intentions are good, then it's good magic.
right.
And that's where the sigil making comes in for me is is more like it putting it in your altars to be like, "I wanna manifest this right now," and say it has to do with passions and fire, then you burn it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or you make it and you set it in a little dish of water if it has to do with emotions, you know what I mean? It's so much more wholesome than
So then
chaos magic.
in that way we'll look at pagan roots, right? So cuz or do you
Yeah,
want to look up Wicca?
that's a great it might be easier to look up Wicca.
Okay. No.
Wicked,
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah. Wicca. Why can't I spell it? Spell it for me, please.
WICCA.
CCA. I was trying to put a K in there.
Ah, I see.
Okay. So tell me what you know of Wicca.
Honestly, I know almost next to nothing.
Okay.
I started learning about, like, elements at b like, looking into elements and then also studying, like, elemental magic, which I know is a part of Wicca, but I actually barely know anything about Wicca itself.
Okay. So, thank you for the follow, Sugar Skulls. Um, so has no central authority figure, and traditional
Mhm.
core beliefs, principles, and practices were originally outlined in the 1940s and 50s by a high priestess and gardener. The early practices were disseminated through published books and then secret written of oral teachings passed along to their initiates. So let's see.
Makes sense.
Uh, Wicca is a new religious movement, and more specifically, a form of modern paganism. It's been cited as the largest, best known, most influential, most academically solid form of modern paganism.
This does
Interesting.
not surprise me.
Yeah. Um, Although recognized by a religion by academics, some evangelical Christians have attempted to deny it legal recognition as such, while some Wiccan practitioners themselves eschew the term religion, associating it with other purely organized religion instead of favoring spirituality.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
most of the books I've read on elemental magic, it does put Wicca underneath the religion, umbrella, but honestly, I kinda like it because it forces people in other religions to go, "Oh, yeah, there are other people here."
Right.
Like, I almost prefer that it does get lumped in with religion because then it really does start a better conversation as opposed to, "No, it's not a religion, it's spiritualism." No,
Right.
I I think it almost does it a disservice.
I agree with that statement 100%. Witchcraft and Wicca. Um, okay, so when the religion first came to public attention, its followers commonly called it witchcraft. The man
Mhm.
regarded as father of Wicca referred to it as the craft of the wise. And the witch cult during the 1950s, Gardner believed the theory that persecuted witches had actually been followers of surviving pagan religion, but his theory has now been proven wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see. I want to hear this one. The first recorded use of the term Wicca was in 1962, and it had been popularized to the extent that several British practitioners founded a newsletter called The Wiccan in 1968.
Oh, see, I didn't realize that the term was not coined until then.
Yeah,
I
that's
actually assumed it went back a lot further than that.
yeah, me too. But we're talking about the 60s here, so that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Where paganism has been around for, thousands of years.
Yeah,
But
100%.
Wicca, I didn't know that.
Um. So yeah, I mean, we can monotheism versus polytheism, the afterlife, magic and spellcraft. Any of these speak to you?
Um, what does it say about afterlife, actually?
Sure. Belief in the afterlife varies among
Oh.
Wiccans and does not occupy a central space within religion. So, the instinctual position of most Wiccans seems to be that if one makes the most of the present life in all respects, then the next is more or less certainly going to benefit from the process. So, one may well concentrate on the present, which I believe.
Yeah.
I believe again, Bo Burnham, but this is heaven. Like this is you need to live this life
Mhm.
for the next, if that's
I
what
think
you
a
believe.
lot of a lot of pagan people that I have spoken to believe in reincarnation as well,
Yes.
and that it does affect, like, your karma, like, every single life that you may or may not your soul has experienced, like, your karma is affected by that.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
incarnate into human bodies, whereas other Wiccans believe that a soul can incarnate into any life form.
Yeah, and so, like, if you were a real shithead in the life before, like, that would affect you, and you have to set that karmic energy correct in
Yeah.
your life,
Yeah.
which is, like, terrifying, you know what I mean? Like, you just accidentally get born into, like, some, you know,
Shithole.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It does get recognized by the military for Sunday worship. That's crazy. That's awesome.
That's it is, honestly.
Um, there's ritual practices. I don't know. I think that this Wicca holds a lot of. Oh, I had something just like this. That's crazy.
Mhm,
Um, I think that it has a very big impact on a growing community, right? So,
mhm,
especially even paganism, a lot of, it feels like even a lot of millennials are suddenly turning to paganism as like this chronic organized religion aspect that we're all living in
mhm.
might not make sense or relate to me, but
Yeah.
paganism seems to have a lot of what I'm looking for, and then
Yeah,
that's the kind
because
of
yeah, everything I've read about paganism is that it's for you. It's for nobody else but you. If you wanna believe in this thing, that's great, but it has nothing to do with anybody else.
right.
It is about your own spiritual practice,
Mm-hmm.
and that does go against every ridiculous thing that's going on
Yeah.
currently in the climate of a lot of different rulings,
100%.
without going too far into that.
No, I girl, I feel it too.
I was gonna say, everybody knows what I'm talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
all the rulings, you know?
So
Oh,
we were talking about, I kept bringing up Bo Burnham because I think he's amazing, but you
yeah.
mentioned David Lynch,
Yeah.
and I wanted to talk about David Lynch.
You know what's funny is I had been meaning to watch this documentary
Hmm.
on him on HBO, and Trish and I actually watched it last night. And as we're watching it, I'm like, wow, that was real dumb. I shouldn't have watched this. But actually, it was not as like informational as I thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
So I don't feel like it did me a disservice, but I realized I'm not the biggest fan of David Lynch's films.
Hmm.
Um, I actually haven't even seen most of them. But what's funny is that I wanted to rewatch Twin Peaks so that way Trish could see it. I
Okay.
don't know if you're a fan. Um, and so Trish ended up adoring it, and I'm like, eh, I like it. I think it was impactful on the culture at the time. It was doing big things. It was very important culturally.
Yeah.
But it's like not my favorite thing in the world. But Trish is like obsessed now with Twin Peaks and the whole universe. And so I'm like, you know what? I want to dig into David Lynch stuff because I should give him another chance. I've only seen a couple of his films. I'm just not that big of a fan, but I want to give him another chance. And then we started watching interviews with the Twin Peaks cast, and I realized that me and David Lynch are the same person.
Oh.
And then and I've only seen Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead
Okay.
and Blue Velvet, and then all of the things that are related to Twin Peaks. But all of his other films I've not seen, which is like 5 or 6 other films. Um and so we watched this documentary on HBO last night called David Lynch: The Art Life.
Okay.
And here's the takeaway is that well, I am very similar to David Lynch. Our birthdays are very close also. Um, and the one through line that I thought was that, he had really, really, really supportive parents who recognized that he was different and let him create and just kind of was like, you do you, you go to art school, you do the things you got to do. Because that's never anybody's story. I
Right.
thought that was so interesting. It's always the other way around. It's always my parents didn't want me to create. They forced me to go to the military or they forced me to, you know, do this, go to this school, whatever. And he was like, I had a great childhood with amazing parents who supported me.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like, okay, I can see how we're very similar in that way. And I like that you highlighted that.
Yeah,
That's
my childhood was elegant
yeah.
home, tree-lined streets, the milkman, building backyard forts, droning airplanes, blue skies, picket fences, green grass, cherry trees. Middle America as it's supposed to be. But on the cherry tree there was a pitch oozing out, some black, some yellow, and millions of red ants crawling all over it. I discovered that if one looks a little closer at this beautiful world, there's always red ants underneath, because I grew up in a perfect world. Other things were a contrast.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
And his art and his movies are so dark. And so to learn that he was like such a happy, for the most part, a happy kid with supportive parents and a good household, just I thought that was so interesting because it's never the story with these dark, dark, dark artists
Yeah.
like he is.
What? Okay, David Lynch made a Disney movie.
Well, he did. Oh,
Let's
what
see.
movie? I need to know now. What is it? I don't know.
Somewhere in the nowhere.
Both of us say what now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm only super aware of the ones that everybody knows about that are Lynch.
Right.
Um, But yeah, we were watching this episode. It was like an hour-long thing. He was interviewing 2 cast members and a producer from Twin Peaks,
Okay.
and he was asking them what their signs were, like their zodiac signs. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I might be David Lynch."
Oh God.
And he called himself a Capriquarius, and I'm like, I'm not that. I'm a Capricorn." But the fact that he called himself a Capriquarius because he's on the cusp
Right.
of Capricorn and Aquarius, I'm like, "Oh, no. I might be David Lynch."
Right.
It just made me laugh. It
That's
gave me
great.
great pleasure to learn that I feel like personality-wise, we're so similar, I think.
I'm still worried. I'm so Armad. I'm still wondering about this Disney movie he produced. So
Right.
definitely
Which
get
one?
back at us about that. Cause let me
Right.
look up Disney. No, there's nothing about Disney on this article.
Right. Yeah. If he was just a producer, that might make sense.
The Straight Story.
That was the only one in that list I didn't recognize was the straight story.
Straight among the many differences, Straight Story contains no profanity, sexuality, or violence and is rated G by the Motion Picture Association of America when it came shocking reviews in many film industries who were surprised that it did not observe, offend, or mystify. LeBlanc and Odell write that the plot made seem so far removed from Lynch's early works it could be imagined, but in fact, right from the very opening, this entire film, a surreal road movie.
Huh.
All right. 4 stars.
I 1999. A biological what the hell?
Biographical road drama film, which,
A biopic.
yeah.
So that's so interesting. And he directed it. He produced and directed it.
Wow.
Huh. And it's on Disney Plus. That's so interesting.
I know what you guys are watching tonight.
Potentially. Potentially, yeah. Because
uh,
we've been in a David Lynch kick for a minute with all the Twin Peaks stuff, but
right.
moving into his movies is harder because they're so slow,
Oh, God. Yeah.
and some of them are pretty long. So it's like, whew,
I do love
yikes.
that you put in David Lynch as a person, not necessarily his films, in parentheses. Like, I had to be prepared for.
Well, because I here's the thing is because there's so many I could have given you like I was trying not to give you like 15 foods I hate and
Right.
15 movies I like and 15 directors I like. You know what I mean?
Mm
Um and that was actually Trisha's idea for me to be like, "You wanna know more about David Lynch, don't you?"
hmm.
Like, "Yes, I do,
Surprise.
actively."
Tell me
But I
about
I know about a lot of his movies, I just don't know a lot about him.
him. Got it. Lisa Frank.
Oh, I actually don't know shit about Lisa Frank.
Okay.
I don't even know how she came to be, how her art came to be franchised the way it did. I don't know anything about
All
Lisa
right.
Frank.
So she's known for producing whimsical commercial design for school supplies. Is this correct? Is a Lisa Frank businesswoman?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know she was a businesswoman, but so Lisa Frank in the 90s was like the all the animals that were like rainbow.
Got it. Yeah.
Um
Her corporation's artwork features rainbow and neon colors and styline depictions of animals, including dolphins, pandas, and unicorns. I support her. I mean,
yeah.
you said
D
pandas,
oh,
and
if you Google Lisa Frank, you will if you love rainbows and animals, you're gonna just die for this stuff. It's beautiful.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I
So
had everything Lisa Frank, especially Trapper Keepers.
yeah, Trapper Keepers as well as toys and stickers. The company no longer produces its own products as the last of 2018 license to smaller its name to smaller companies.
Did it say she was in Detroit? I thought I just saw something about Detroit a little bit down.
Tucson, Arizona,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, after moving from the Detroit to the Tucson area.
Ah, I wonder interesting.
So, studied and moved at the University of Arizona, where she founded her children's jewelry company, Sticky Fingers.
What a name.
Yeah, when she was 24.
Wow.
So, as a businesswoman, she's been called into question by former employees who indicted that issues at the company were not solely related to Frank's ex husband. Frank's leadership as abusive and oppressive and indicated that it was the worst place that had ever worked.
Oh,
Turnover was
no.
extremely high, and Lisa Frank Inc. had to settle a number of lawsuits regarding unpaid contractors and builders, failure to pay severance packages, and refusal to the final paycheck. And then in 2011, she launched a colorful line of clothing.
What a follow-up. In 2011, she launched a colorful line of clothing.
It's 2011.
Right.
Everything's in 2011.
Everything. Wow.
She made a minor comeback recently. 2019, Frank designed the logo for John Mayer's Instagram television series, Current Mood. Oh, yeah,
What?
the Gizmo would know this. He's an art addict.
I
Um,
saw that. that series actually. I
Current
mean, I
movie?
didn't watch it on purpose because John Mayer, but
Right.
like saw it. I was aware of it. That's really interesting. It said she designed the logo for that. Huh.
And John Shestack to develop a movie inspired by her work. Interesting.
That is interesting. So she wasn't bad, but her husband was bad.
That's what it sounds
It
like.
seems like she accidentally allowed her husband too much power and he kind of ruined it for her. The lawsuits because of him. It doesn't seem like she was on it's like she was just overseeing everything and the husband kind of messed it up.
Well, his name is James A. Green, and they're
Yeah.
referring to Frank's leadership. So,
Oh, you're right. You're right. I think I
yeah.
had it backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, so it says former employees who indicted that issues at the company were not solely related to Frank ex-husband's Green's leadership.
Yeah. I think I understood it backwards that it was solely related. Damn. So she's an asshole.
Yeah. Welp.
Okay, but her art's pretty. Okay. Her
Yeah.
art is really cool.
Yeah.
She is 70 years old. That's wild.
And she loves rainbows.
Yeah. Yeah. Animals and rainbows, but don't cross her.
Don't cross her
Oh,
because you're not going to get your severance package.
no, you have to sue her. Damn.
Damn.
Now I regret learning that.
Oh, it could have been your dislikes just as easily. We don't.
That's true.
We're
That's
doing
true.
both.
But I do love her art and a lot of the things that I not that I create because I'm not like an artist, but like anything that has to do with rainbows basically at this point, it's because of Lisa Frank.
Interesting.
It like formed my little brain.
Let's talk about
Oh
yodeling.
god.
If I could yodel, I'd do it right now.
I can't yodel, thank goodness. I dislike yodeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially when singers do it. I don't like yodeling singers. My community will know this.
Is there other yodeling people, or is just like there's mundane yodelers and then singer yodelers, or
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't think that there are just, like, inherent yodelers anymore. I I don't know, do people just yodel and, like, not sing? I assume you're singing if you're yodeling. I don't know though. Now I'm questioning everything. But, like, I dislike yodelers, and that's, like, people like, Sweden has entered the chat. Like Alanis Morissette and, like, Jewel,
mm-hmm.
LeAnn Rimes. I'm not a big fan.
That
Oh,
makes sense.
Shakira is a great example.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not into it, and I think it's because I guess I wouldn't mind it if it was, like, in something culturally significant, but it's like pop singers who yodel in their pop music,
Right.
which is really specific.
Yeah.
Um, this was one of the ones that Jen gave me. Jen was like, "You hate singers who yodel." I was like, "You're right. You're absolutely right." So I think I wanna know why it became a popular
Sure.
type of singing because dudes don't do this, okay? I've never heard a dude singer do this. This is, like, predominantly female.
So most experts agree that yodeling was used by the Central Alps by herders calling their stock or to communicate between alpine villages. The multi-pitch yelling later became a part of the region's traditional lore and musical expression. The earliest record of yodel in 1545, where it describes the call of cowherd from a Appenzell. Musical historian Timothy Rise writes, from its earliest entry into European music or whatever type, the yodel tended to be associated with nature, instinct, wilderness, pre industrial, and pastoral civilization, among other ideas. It continues to be associated with rural and folk musics or to connotate those in other contexts. Because of this original folk connection, yodeling remains associated with the outdoors, rustic rather than sophisticated persona, and the particular emotion or psychological state of semantic fields.
Hmm,
So it
that
sounds
makes
like,
sense.
yeah,
That makes sense. That's what I mean, like, culturally, I get it, but I don't get it when it comes to pop singers yodeling in pop music.
that makes sense.
It drives me nuts. Like, what are you doing? Why? Why are you doing that? It's just not it's not good and I don't like it.
Is it the sound that you don't like, or you just feel like it doesn't mix with the music?
Both. I it's just, they can't belt, so they yodel. Maybe, I don't know. I really just struggle. It's a type of vocal, it's, just a vocal technique I cannot get behind. I don't think it sounds good.
There you go.
I just don't think it sounds good. Espe only, like, in terms of, like, pop music, you know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right. But I also
in
don't think you're gonna
country
turn on a yodeling track.
no, not on purpose. But at least from a cultural standpoint, if it makes sense, then it makes sense.
Right.
And even in early country, I think our mutt said, like, there's definitely some yodeling in, like, early country.
Hmm.
That actually makes sense in terms of what Panda just read.
Right. The
Like,
rustic roots and all that stuff.
yes, and it coming from folk, that does make sense to a certain degree.
Right.
But, yeah, yeah, yodeling in pop music is just not not for me.
All right. So then we come to Weezer. I don't know if that's, do they yodel? I can't.
No, no. You wanna know what's okay, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
You wanna know what's funny about that
Yes.
is that so right as we started, I was like, "Hey, that new Threads app just launched," right? The new the new Threads app that's gonna take down Twitter. The second thing that I th threaded? It's not tweet.
Right.
Oh, no, I don't know what the new verb is gonna be, um, that I posted was I posted, Um, if you want to destroy my Twitter, pull this thread as I walk away.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
And the thing is, I really just don't like Weezer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity to quote them and maybe get attention."
Whatever works.
I
But
just
then you get all these Weezer fans in your thread, and you're like, well,
oops. Yeah, I the transition was perfection. Yeah, they don't yodel, but there's something about their songwriting I just don't like.
now do you,
I
you
don't know.
like, you don't like early Weezer or current Weezer or both?
All of it. I don't
Okay.
like it. I've never heard a Weezer song that I like. I think they're just really I don't know, I just don't like the songwriting, I also don't like the execution. I'm very judgmental. Can you tell that when it comes to music, I
That's fine. I love that for you. Okay.
thank
I
thank you.
no, no, I mean, like, it's one of those things that I'm happy. I'm not happy. I'm glad that you have those likes and dislikes, but like, I don't love Weezer by any means, but I don't mind you smashing Weezer because it's something that you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, I just and it doesn't come up very often, but, like, I haven't seen the Buddy Holly video, but I think it's partially because of how overplayed certain songs were too.
Yes.
And it also isn't a it's a connotation for me with, like, certain people that were bullies to me when I grew up and them loving Weezer, and Weezer was,
Mm,
like, everything. Like, they were kind of an it band for a little while,
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I think a part of it there's, like, a handful of bands that I associate with this bully group of people that I can't deal with when I was in high school, middle school and high school,
Mhm.
and I think Weezer is just one of the bigger ones, and it's that connotation along with the fact that I just don't like their music, and then they fucking ruined Africa.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
They got the keyboard line wrong.
Yeah, the whole song is trash.
It's not good,
Yep.
and I'm I'm not the biggest Toto fan of all time, but I do love that song.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? Why would you put out a cover that is lesser than the original?
Not only is it
And that's
lesser than the original, it's the original, but like, they didn't do anything special.
no. They didn't
They
but
didn't
they
cover
they
it. Like, there wasn't anything that was like, "Oh, that's such a Weezer thing to do." Like, it literally sounded like they were just trying to sing the song in as low of a awful tone as possible.
yes, and then they didn't even musically, you know, get it right.
Right.
And that like, all those things. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I dislike it so much. And I love that it kind of put the spotlight back on Toto for a minute. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. I'm glad. Because unfortunately for me, it was the Weezer version was back on the radio.
Right.
It's like, oh God. And this is coming from somebody who we cover music. Like, it's not like we would never cover songs. Like, no, but if we're gonna cover a song, we're gonna put our whole all into it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna make it as good as it could possibly be. But, they just phoned it in, and why? I I don't know, man. There could be a record label that was forcing them to do it, that they were under pressure, that they had no time to do it, to execute it, whatever. There's a lot of reasons why it could suck, but that was just the icing on the cake. I didn't hate Weezer before Africa, honestly, and
That's
now it's
fair.
pushed violent shove into hate category.
That's that's fantastic. Yeah, that Toto. Oh God, that was just terrible.
Bad, it's really bad.
I won't do that one according to Google, but why did they decide to cover the 1982 the first place? Apparently, it came down the Twitter account called Weezer Africa. As Noisy reports, 14-year-old Mary from the Cleveland area set up an account with one aim in mind to get the band to bless the rains down in Africa.
Oh, so it was an internet thing. Okay, that's fair. That's a good reason. That's a good reason,
Yeah.
but bad execution. Thank you, books. Flip it all.
um. Okay, we're not gonna do that one because it's gonna show up pictures and that'll make you barf. Um.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly. That was good point. Why did I list that? You're
um,
absolutely right.
let's talk about this one because this also makes me crack the fuck up. um, because have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
I've seen the first one in a theater when it came out, and I fell asleep.
I have never seen any of the Lord of the Rings,
Okay.
and my ADHD ass could not get through that at all. I couldn't get through
And
the
cut
books. I couldn't get through the
okay.
movies.
This makes me feel better. I felt like I was going to, like, insult you and your whole family.
No.
Because Lord of the Rings is so, like, so beloved, you know? Um, Everything about it is, like, something I should like too.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like even I've what's the other one? Star Wars. Okay, I don't dislike Star Wars. I've just never watched it. Really long
Mhm,
movies, but I know from all of my friends exactly what happens, the concepts, the stories, the
mhm.
everything. So why do I even have to watch it? I as long as I know pop culture references, I'm good. Same with Lord of the Rings. I know the pop culture references, Second Breakfast, all that stuff,
Mhm.
but I just can't.
Yeah, I tried. I might try I don't know. One day I might try again. I yeah, it's there's photographic proof that you fell asleep on one. Yeah, it's brutal. I really tried. Like, I actually was in the movie theater and I fell asleep,
It's so
and
long.
that's saying something.
Mhm.
And it's kind of how it's I've not seen any of the other ones. I've never tried to read the book. It's just I think I it's so slow in pacing that I just can't bring myself to like it. I can't even bring myself to get through it.
Yeah. Somebody gave me the Cliff Notes. I think I'd enjoy it much more. Somebody gave me cliffnotes.com.
And then they came out, I think so Jen loves Lord of the Rings, right? My best friend is in love with the whole franchise, and they just released extended versions of the movies. Extended versions of long ass Lord of the Rings movies.
Nope.
She watched them all in one day. I'm like,
Oh
and
my god.
we're talking about somebody who could fall asleep on a dime. And I'm like, I don't know how you just did that. I don't know how you just did that. How did you stay awake? You could
Yeah.
fall asleep during, like, the scariest movie of all time, but Lord of the Rings extended cuts? Nope. Whole day.
Oh my god.
I wish she were here right now. She'd be like, "Listen." Like,
Oh.
I don't know how she did it, but it just cracks me up that there is even a more extended version. I maybe one day. Dear Topher Grace, make a 90 version. Thank you. Somebody make a cut that is 90 minutes Please. Please cut out all of their walking through the pastures.
Yeah, I feel like they've really dragged out like every single detail, which makes
Yes.
it pretty. Don't get me wrong, makes it
Yes.
beautiful. But I nope, I can't do it. And my husband's probably like rolling over right now. It's just like, oh my god, why did you have
Oh,
to
does
bring
he
up
love
Lord of
it?
the Rings? He loves Lord of the Rings. He loves Star Wars. He loves Star Trek. He loves all of it, and
Okay.
I appreciate him loving that again. But I,
Absolutely.
I am not, and I do nerd sports. You imagine how many people I hang around and they're all like dressed up as elves and all that other stuff, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't.
Well, that's why I thought for sure, like, when you were talking about D&D earlier and nerd culture in general, and I was like, "Oh god, I put Lord of the Rings on this dislike list. Oh god, like,
No, you're
what have I
totally fine.
done?"
You're totally fine. You're in this. You're in good company. You're in good company.
I feel less alone, thank you.
Good. We're gonna switch over to well, one more I wanted to do out of your dislikes, and then we'll come in, and that's just because I believe in this one too. Is water chestnuts. I don't know if you were eating a water chestnut at the time that you put this. I don't
Oh.
know what it is, but water chestnuts are the grossest thing that you could put in a salad
Why would you do
or
it?
soup.
It's they're weird, and they have a bad texture, and they taste terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's here's the thing, is that I haven't had a water chestnut in a very long time because I dislike them, probably hate them. And so in terms of dislikes, it was the first and only thing I could think of for this list for like 20 minutes. I was like, water chestnuts. That's the only dislike I can think of.
I detest them immensely.
I'm so glad that I'm not alone.
No, I people
If
who like
they
water
are
chestnuts are another rare breed. I just want to know why. I don't fault them for it.
yeah,
I just have to know what it is about them. Is it the texture that they enjoy? Is it the
I
bland taste that they enjoy?
but here's the thing is that I anytime I've had them in context of things, they're not bland. They have a terrible taste. I'd
Oh,
be happier with them if they were bland. So maybe I'm confusing water chestnuts with whatever they were cooked in multiple times over. I don't
probably
know.
that. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Um I just don't know what it is about them, to be honest. They are unlike any other vegetable. I don't know. It's very strange.
Trying to see, but they don't even have water. Oh yeah, here's a water chestnut. Um, aquatic plant. Okay,
Hmm.
wait. Native to warm temperate plants. They bear fruit shape.
It also said it was called a bat nut.
Yes. Yeah, because
Interesting.
these ones look like
Oh, they
caltrops.
oh my goodness.
Hi, Toilet After Dark. Um, he's great. He makes poop emojis and poop stuff while he's wearing a Mexican wrestler mask in the dark. And that's his stream. It's fantastic. He does great art.
That sounds like an incredible stream.
Yeah.
That's an instant follow for me.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
That's that's an instant follow for me.
um I don't know. I agree with you. I feel like it takes on the flavor of whatever it has.
Yeah, the only
But
way I
like,
can eat it is if it's with something I really like. Like, we were talking about this earlier today on stream because I was teasing about some of the things we were gonna probably talk about, and it was like, if it's wrapped in bacon, I'm probably gonna try it.
yeah,
I
I'll
might
try
I
it.
might even like it. So, I do think it's one of those things, it might be kind of like, not tempeh, what am I trying to say? Tofu,
Yes.
where it kind of is a chameleon. But I don't know because I decided I disliked him so long ago that I maybe I should give water chestnuts another chance. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think you need to put that evil in your life.
I don't need none of that shit. I don't need it.
um okay. So, we're going to finish off on two things. I,
Books wanted to know what the thing was that we shouldn't look at. This is another one that I can't stand in that people watch this on purpose. There's whole shows about it. It's pimple popping videos.
right.
I can't do it. It makes me wanna barf. I I'm not a part of the culture that is satisfied by it. I can't do it, and there is a big part of the culture that is super satisfied by it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one's too visual. You're
Too
absolutely right.
visual. Yeah.
Too visual.
That's like everybody poops. I'm getting butts. Like it's not.
Yeah. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
So we're gonna talk about. I'm stuck between two. We're gonna talk about first Ireland because you
Okay.
said that you found out about your 20 is did you do a 23 and me or a history thing? How did you find
And
out?
yeah, Ancestry. Mhm.
Okay, great.
Yep, that
So,
one.
do you know, I mean, how much do you know about Ireland that made, like, did you just go on like a binge after that and like become
No.
intensely, no? You don't know a
No,
lot about it?
I don't. So, this kinda wraps into the pagan thing because, the last, St. Patrick's Day that went by, um, was the first time I had, like, the mental energy to kinda dig into what it was is, and, I've always been on the side of, "Why are we celebrating this stupid holiday?" It's just because I know that it has Catholic ties and I'm not a fan, but it's this big drinking holiday. So, what's going on here? And then a couple years ago, we learned, my family learned, me and my mom specifically learned that we have bigger Irish ties than we ever realized. Hers much more than mine, but mine is in my top three. Like it's like 18%, which is one of the highest percentages for me.
Right.
And I was named Aaron and we didn't know that. Literally Aaron means for of Ireland, and
Right.
she didn't know that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And so when I was digging into St. Patrick's Day and about what the holiday actually is and, ruining it for people, because I love doing that actually. And so I was reading about the fact that St. Patrick just simply was the person who brought Catholicism to Ireland, and basically he's the reason that pagan religions were demonized. He was the reason that Ireland became, like, just Catholic overall,
Right.
and like, that's literally nothing I particularly want to celebrate. Like, they were trying to eradicate any religion that wasn't Catholicism, which is simply not okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're cool if you wanna be Catholic, but why you gotta put that on everybody else? Let people be what they wanna be, and so that's actually part of where the pagan interest came in, but honestly, other than that, I don't know anything about Ireland. I have a couple favorite Irish streamers, but that's about it.
um let me see. I was gonna almost say the guy you rated into, but he's Scottish, and he very,
Yeah.
very
He was
adamantly
like
said he was not Irish.
yeah, he was like, "What did" anybody thinking, "Oh, you rated it to some Irish guy." I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm reading, I promise." I actually didn't know anything about him, to be honest, which was funny.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Merging of Celtic Ireland. I want to learn about.
Yes, Courtney, yes.
I want to
And Aaron Wilson is
learn
another one.
about politics. No,
Right. All of it's gonna be about Catholicism and politics.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, we're trying to look for pagan. Uh,
It's yeah.
so religion played a significant role. Basically, what you said spread the Irish vision of Christianity to pagan England and then to the Frankish Empire. These missions brought written languages to illiterate people of the Europe during the Dark Ages and followed the fall of Rome, earning Ireland the island of saints and scholars. Ugh. I mean, cool.
Right. Basically, they tried to eradicate paganism, and that that hurts my heart. People were out here just trying to be spiritual and do their own thing, and they were basically punished for it.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah, it's sad how relevant that is.
Ah, right? Right? And like Joe just said, I'm Catholic, I don't push that on anybody, and that's that's perfect.
Yeah.
Do what you're gonna do. You don't have to agree with people to coexist. What happened to coexisting and not pushing your shit on me, not pushing my shit on you, you know? What
Right.
happened to that? Coexist was a thing for so many years, and we've gone so far backwards. Um, oh, me and mom were narrowed down to a specific place in Ireland. Oh, I don't even think I've looked at that. Connaught?
Connaught. Connaught. Connacht Irish?
It could have been slightly spelled slightly different. Right, it is sad. It is sad.
Here you go. Till the ninth century, it consisted of several independent major Gaelic kingdoms. Um, collapsed in the kingdom of Connacht collapsed in 1230s because of the civil war within the royal dynasty. The Norman colony shrank with events such as the 1307 Battle of. Nope, you're not going to get that out of me.
No.
Um,
And just how old their history is just it's almost mind-blowing. Like, you can't even really fathom that that was hundreds and hundreds of years before anybody even other than indigenous people were in America.
yeah.
Like, it's just it's wild.
Um, the population was 1.4 million, and now it's just under 590,000.
Wow.
So you are a part of a very specific line that is not
That's
very large.
yeah. And mom and I actually had no idea. So most of my family, my nuclear family, um, my spelling was off Google Maps. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could just be Wikipedia, people can change stuff. Um, but yeah, we've known where our family's from in Sicily, that very specific island, which I'm sure my dad will now put in chat. But we've known about that for many decades.
Right.
They were able to track that back because them being in America is relatively new. But my mom's side, my mom just assumed certain things because that's what your family is told.
Mm-hmm.
And I it was really interesting to learn that mom has always also been like leaning toward like Celtic trees and Celtic designs and things like that. And me too. And it's so interesting to learn that it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I am Naples family from Naples.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So rock on Italy.
Yeah, we're from a very, very small island in Sicily.
Oh, Sicily's already pretty small.
Right? It's already small. Yeah. Um, I always forget what it is, but it's very specifically Sicily because you don't wanna say you're Italian if you're Sicilian. It's 2 different things.
On the mafia side, your dad made sure to see.
Yes.
My dad's from New Jersey, so I get the mafia side.
A little different,
A little
but
different, but yeah.
gives Jersey Devil a different idea, but
Right, right.
Mazzaro di Vallo, yes. Yes.
I wanted to end off just on your band. I think it's
Oh,
important
sure.
to talk about. It wasn't on your list
Oh,
of
thanks.
any type of music or anything, and so I wanted to make sure that we mentioned it. The EBX in
Yeah.
your name is so important, along with Aaron, but the EBX name is so important, and I even see that you have a what is it, a poster or something that says Elsie Banks behind you on your right side? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually what's funny? People have actually thought now for a while that it's actually a neon sign back there because I have a light that's like making it look like it's glowing. But it's just a light next to it. It's a canvas painting that one of our friends during the pandemic just painted our logo on a canvas. And it's been there ever since. It serves as a good advertisement, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, the EBX is short for Elsie Banks, and it's funny. It's like Weezer was the only thing that made it in. Well, I guess yodeling too, a little
Right,
bit.
right.
Um, but yeah, can you imagine if dislikes Elsie Banks?
Yeah, right. Oh
You would
God,
have
this
been like,
band is killing me.
did you mean to put that there? But yeah, we've been around. We were an accidental band. A lot of people don't realize that. We were an accidental band, and I was working for a wedding band for many, many years, for 10 years, and we got this new sound tech who was like, hey, he'd watched me for about a year performing with this wedding band, and he was like, "Hey, I actually produce bands. Like, I actually produce music. I don't just do this. And do you have any music?" And I was gonna just record 5 to 7 songs with this guy and get some studio musicians, pay them, put out some music, and call it a day. And then I ended up running an Indiegogo, which is a crowdfunding site,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that I raised about 7 or 8 thousand dollars, just friends and family, because I didn't have much of a platform at this point.
Right.
This was 2015,
Mm-hmm.
so I wasn't really creating content. I was trying to be a YouTuber, but it definitely didn't work.
Right.
Uh, so like I didn't really have a platform. So getting 7 to 8 thousand dollars was like it blew me away. Just friends
Yeah.
and family. Um, and then what happened was the studio musicians that I ended up meeting in the process, we just totally jived, and we just kept writing music, and we started doing gigs, and now almost 8 years later we have a band still.
That's
And it's not
great.
the original lineup. The only remaining 2 members is Kevin, who is the manager and engineer, the
Mm-hmm.
original person who came to me and said, "Hey,
Right.
do you have any music?" And then Phil, our guitar player, who is now a bass player because he had to be a bass player now.
Right.
He was the second member, and he's the only remaining original member of the band. But the members of this current band have been the members since 2018, so we're still very close. It's been a long time
Yeah.
since the inception. But yeah, we stream as a band, and still make music and still make music videos and still try to gig when it makes sense because gigs just huh. You've probably heard me rant about it on my channel. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore, but we try to do it when it does make sense.
Right.
But
Where
yeah,
did the title come from? The name,
the
Elsie
name,
Binks.
that's a great question. So Elsie is well, what's funny, I just recently Googled this. I was like, what does Elsie mean? It actually also means from Ireland. It's basically just Elise and um oh no, I'm not from Ireland. That was Aaron. It means like pledged to God, which I was like, oh, perfect. Um that's fantastic. But Elsie was actually a family name on my mom's side. It's a middle name and a first name that was passed down many, many times over on my mom's side. And Elsie was the original version of it. And my middle name is Elise,
Okay.
but I've always really liked the name Elsie for
Mm-hmm.
some reason. And because this was just going to be a studio project, nothing really that big, I was just going to create some music, put it out. I was like, I'm going to use the name Elsie. So I always wanted to use that name. So that's actually a family name. Um, that just also happens to be very Irish. And, then Banks is well, I was looking for spirit animals. I really wanted to use something that had a really good visual because I was thinking like, well, you people name their bands dumb things that aren't easy to brand.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I want to name it something super easy to brand, something really on the nose. That way there's like this spirit animal type feeling to it. So I was looking at things like Elsie Fox, Elsie Crow, Elsie Mars, things that were like really big in idea, um, but also very brandable.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom, because I was like, how do I make cats a thing? Like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh man, like, I don't know how to make this make sense. And I was running into multiple, just like getting the domain name, getting every social media name. I did not want to end up with like Elsie Fox Music, or you know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
I just, I just want the thing to exist. And so my mom was like, what about Banks? And I'm like, the cat from Hocus Pocus? She's like, yeah.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, let's do that. I like that. Um, and so, here's the thing, Jar Jar Binks is with a K and an S. However, Disney owns both. So one day when we're famous and we get a cease and desist, I'm I'm going to be very happy. We've made it. If we get a cease and desist from Disney, I'll be very
You could
happy.
just go with EBX at that point.
Right. Yeah. We actually did try that for a minute, but there are other bands called EBX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we actually did try that for one moment in time, and then we pulled it down. We pulled that record down from socials and from Spotify and everything and put it back out as Elsie Banks because it wasn't it was too, simple.
Yeah. That makes
But
sense.
but yeah, so, inherently, my mom accidentally named the band. Ebex. We do in the beginning of the Twitch days, people would be like, "Ebex, Aaron?"
What?
And I'm like, "Oh,
How do you
no.
even arrive to that?
Oh." Well, it didn't used to have capitals,
Oh, okay.
and there was no underscore.
Okay, I'm with you.
So, yes, and I didn't really see that coming. And all my socials were EBX Aaron with no underscore, and people would be like, "Ebexerin, welcome in."
Vexerin,
And I'm
yes.
like, "Oh, no." And then Johnny in our band was the first one to put an underscore there, and I was like, "Oh, this makes sense." And then plus the capitalization makes a little bit more sense.
Right.
But that was a learning curve when we got onto Twitch. But yeah, so Elsie's a family name. Ebex, EB Zarin. I like that one better. Um, but yeah, Elsie's a family name on my mom's side, and Binks is just straight up the cat from Hocus Pocus. Thackeray Binks inspired.
Yes. Well, that's
Yeah.
great. Well, everybody, definitely go follow the socials for Ebex Aaron or Elsie Binks. Um, gosh, I am I am so happy to have had you on. I'm so happy that we were connected and
Yes.
from the beginning, and I'm definitely very thankful that you're here. You are an excellent guest. I would think I had so much fun hanging out with you. Um,
Aw, I had so much fun. I can't believe it's been over 2 hours. Thank you for being such a fantastic host.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for being such a fantastic guest. Guys, we are going to go ahead and throw this over to Davey. I believe he's doing the sandwich show right now. I already talked to him earlier today. So it's Davey is eating a sandwich.
We recently did his show, so my community members are well aware of Davey.
There he is. Perfect. So he is right here. And yeah, exclamation point raid. Thank you, D. Exclamation point raid. I actually have a raid call guide. There's no sub raid. I didn't get that creative, but there
But
is
I
a
love it.
raid.
It's
Yes.
fantastic.
Thank you. Um, everyone, go ahead and spread the love. Thank you, everyone who's come by. Thank you, Aaron. And
Yes, thank you for having me.
it's been wonderful. Dream come true.
Aw, thank you for having me, and thank you all in chat for hanging out. Thank you for just all the things. I
Abs-
appreciate you.
yes, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to Davy. Here we go.
Okay, bye.
And stop.